Normally I prepare all this stuff in advance for you because I planned. This is completely unplanned and I'm totally winging it. You're welcome. To start it off, I'm actually going to bring you with me and show you what we have in the fridge and what we have in the pantry, which is the totality of our food. That red pepper might be on its last leg. Look at this. Ugh. The top of it says I'm rotting away. I'm not a pretty pepper. That's okay. We'll still eat you. And then our onion, normal. This is all I'm actually going to be chopping. All right, you ready? I'm going to do my special Deborah only way to cut. On the top and on the bottom. I did this because I have a thing I hate to have bell pepper seeds in my food. This is the way that I found cutting a bell pepper helps to reduce the spread of seeds everywhere. So when I give it a little tug, it's still a little tight on the bottom, so I just go in. Do, 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 do. So see, when you pull it out, oh, look at that. Look at that, look at that, all the seeds, they're still in there. They're not there, they're there. Not there, there. Not there, there. Not there, there. Ah. All right, so we're gonna finish trimming the bad brown, black, mutated parts from this bell pepper. So now cutting the bell pepper. You know, when I first started making videos, I realized that I have no idea how to cut foods correctly. I just cut foods my way. And, you know, for a lot of people that works. I'm not sure it works on a cooking channel though. So I'm gonna admit right here, right now, completely and fully that I don't actually know how to cut things correctly. I just know how to cut things my way. And I like to cut bell peppers like this because there's a lot of surface tension in the skins. So this is going to be a stir fry. I'm going to leave them a little bit longer. My daughter and I do not have particularly gigantic mouths. We don't like having our food chopped up into gigantic pieces. That's one of our actual #1 complaints when we go and eat out at restaurants, is that the food pieces are just too darn big for our mouths. And I hate it. You know, I feel like sometimes when men cook, you know, they go by man-sized mouths. Men's mouths tend to be larger than women's mouths. And so, you know, eating bigger chunks of food makes sense to them. But for us women with our smaller mouths and our smaller heads, that just means that we're getting food on our chin and on our clothes and it goes everywhere. It's not easy for us to eat when it's cut really big and in these gigantic pieces. So in my videos, I always tend to chop things smaller than what professional chefs do because I want to be able to chew it and eat it without gagging on it. So smaller pieces for me and my daughter. All right, the onion. This is probably not at all satisfying to watch, but this is definitely satisfying to do. Peeling onions is one of my favorite things to do when it comes to preparing food. Because if you've had a bad day, you just sit down, peel an onion, and you're like zen. You're in zen zone. It's like peeling wallpaper. It's fantastic. It sounds really boring until you do it, and then you're like, oh, I am very well relaxed now. And I know there are better ways of peeling onions that are faster and more efficient, but they're not as highly satisfying as these slow, drawn-out ways that I do things. See, I think what we should do for coronavirus stress is we should all get onions and then just peel them. You know, like eat them if you want, but you know, just get them and just peel them. Like, oh, I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna go peel a layer. And then you peel a layer and you feel good, you go put it back in the fridge. Then you have another stressful day. See someone out jogging, you're like, God damn virus spreader. And go back and you get your onion back out of the fridge, peel another layer. It's all good. We love you. We're looking out for you. We have onions to relieve your stress. Okay, so we have the sacrificial onion slice to help keep flat edge. Flat edge keeps it from rolling around. Look at that, not rolling, and I'm beating it with a knife. That's what I call nice, sturdy, flat surface. All right, so we're done chopping. I'm gonna get the rice started, and then once that's started, I can get everything cooked up in a little skillet. All right, so with instant rice, I don't like the way most instant rice is al dente, where it's a little, you know, soft on the outside, a little firm on the middle. I don't actually like that. That's a little bit undercooked. You can get a really good sticky instant rice by just changing the way that you cook it. What I do, instead of doing equal portions of white rice to the liquid, I do twice as much liquid to the rice, and instead of just bringing the water to a boil, putting the rice in, putting a lid on top, I bring the water to a boil, I reduce the heat to medium, and then I continue to simmer and boil the rice for about 15 to 20 minutes. Rice, instant rice is always part per part. So 1 cup rice, 1 cup water, 2 cups rice, 2 cups water. It's already always part by part. Recipes have not always followed standard measurements like teaspoon, tablespoon, cup, ounce, milliliter, whatever. The recipes used to be part per part. So the recipes would come out and it would say something like, do 1 part sugar per 3 parts flour. That way it standardizes the recipe for whoever. So whatever you do or however you portion it out, you just know the proportions of the ingredients to each other. It was kind of almost a little bit better way of doing recipes. I love cookbooks. I have like 100. I have over 100. Let's be honest. I'm weird. I have over 100, and some of those are really old cookbooks. When my family first immigrated to America, they came over in 2 waves. So we had the Irish wave that came over from Ireland, because they were Irish. They came over during the potato blight. And then we had the Swedish who came over because of some other blight. And so that's how my family came over. So the Swedish family ended up settling in Iowa. And up in Iowa, they actually formed a Swedish ladies garden club where they would meet every week and in their gardens, on their patios, and they'd basically just drink and talk about men. But one year, they decided they were gonna make a cookbook of all of their favorite recipes. And so through all of the generations in my family, we have passed down the Swedish Garden Club cookbook, which is not something that the average person could actually cook out of, because back then recipes weren't like they are today. They didn't go through every single item. They had bases. So there was your recipe base. So you would have your cake base or your muffin base, and that would be the dry ingredients, the wet ingredients that you toss together to make a cake or to make muffins or to make whatever. So each recipe would have a base to it. And so when they did like garden club cookbooks, they didn't tell everybody about the base ingredients because that was common knowledge. So the cookbook is actually just made up of what they add to the base ingredients. So you go through the cookbook and there's like 3 ingredients in the recipe, but you can't make a recipe from those ingredients. You have to add those recipes to the base, the common knowledge base that everyone was supposed to know. So I look through the book for ideas more than anything else because, you know, there have been so many different types of food bases that have been developed over all the centuries and all the years. You know, there's so many ways to add those ingredients to a base. See how sticky? I mean, there's still a lot of water in here, but you see how that really makes a fluffier, stickier rice than following the package instructions. So much better. Yes, it does take a lot longer to cook it this way. And half the time what you're cooking to go on top of the rice takes like 15 minutes to cook. So, you know, it works. All right, so I'm getting a lot of juices down here. We're seeing a lot of movement of juices of the onions. We are at a happy place that I like. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on the sauce. And I'm just gonna kind of drop in a little bit of jam here and there. But I don't want it to be overly sweet. So I'm going to cut it with some soy sauce. And this will also add a little bit of salt to the recipe. I find that putting a little bit of Dijon mustard in it, it really improves the taste a lot. It really helps. We are done.